Live from the UATV studio, this is the Dorm Room Sports Chat. I'm your host, Mike Rabin. From WildcatAuthority.com, Derek Basenden. From the Daily Wildcat, Annie Marum. And from Camp Radio, Sports Director, Zach Clark. Tonight, you'll find out why Pac-16 rumors are no more. Athletic Director Greg Byrne goes green, and Tori Moore joins us from the Arizona volleyball team. But first, moms, dads, sisters, brothers, grandmas traveling from all over the country for family weekend. But what would the weekend be without a lot of tailgating and a big-time football game? Early first quarter, Arizona taking on the number 10 Ducks of Oregon. Early first quarter, LaMichael James plowing his way into the end zone for the score. Ducks are up early. Here comes James again. The handoff, one move to the outside, and he's gonna walk in. James had 288 yards and 2 scores on the day. Hey, look who's back. How many chances will Zendejas get? Well, maybe a few after that one. Right before the half, Foles takes the snap, tossing it up to Richard Morrison for 34 yards, touchdown Cats. But the extra point from Zendejas blocked. Hopefully Salazar is keeping that bench warm for him. Cats go into the half trailing 35-9. But that's why we play 2 halves, guys. Arizona coming out strong. Foles handing the rock to Antolin. Boom! Foles comes right back down the field. Hits his big boy, David Roberts, and the Cats have some life, only down by 11. But on this night, the Cats could not stop the run. Quarterback Darren Thomas up the gut for his second rushing touchdown. The Cats lose this one big, 56-31. Zach, is Arizona this bad, or is their schedule to blame? They've been outscored 130-55 in the last 3 games.
You know, they're playing such top caliber opponents right now that I'm not sure if Arizona is that bad. You look at guys like Justin Blackman, Brandon Whedon, and then last night, LaMichael James, 288 yards. That is a Oregon record. And he also broke the touchdown mark with his 2 touchdowns on the night, all-time leading scorer at Oregon. So, I mean, I think that this is a product of the scheduling right here.
I tend to agree, but I've got to disagree with you on a little bit of this. 82 rushing yards to Oregon's 415. That's not a typo, is it? I don't think it is.
82 is an improvement over the 55 they're already averaging.
And you're just proving my point, Zach. That's bad.
I don't think it matters who you play. You can't drop balls. You can't not stop the run game.
Yeah, a lot of drop balls last night.
You won't win the game playing like that.
Absolutely.
Well, then another missed extra point. This is a D1 program, is it not?
75% is not good enough.
Annie, another big problem, our rush defense and our rushing game. Arizona has allowed 854 rush yards over the past 3 games. Guess how much Arizona's rushed for in those games? 174. A little problem?
I would definitely say we have a problem. Like Zach said, LaMichael James had a career high of 288 yards. That's the first time since 2005 that the Wildcats have let over 200 yards be rushed against them. Defensively, we're just not playing anywhere close to good enough. We can't be dropping the ball. I mean, you know, not every pass was to the numbers, but all those passes were catchable.
I honestly just can't wipe the smile off my face. Mike says a little problem. That's a big problem.
It is.
And the big problem is we have 2 little guys carrying the ball.
Well, one of the problems that I have is that we're assuming that LaMichael James has only done this to Arizona. If you look at his numbers, fifth time in his career he's topped 200 yards. This isn't the first time, and it certainly isn't the last.
Well, you go to the other side of the coin now with Arizona's rushing game. You have Keola Antolin's 5'8", 195 pounds. Kadeem Carey, same type of guy, 5'10", 190 pounds. How are you supposed to run the ball?
Averaging 2 yards a carry. You don't.
Well, and then you don't. I mentioned it last show. The defensive line and the offensive line is just—it's not getting it done for Arizona.
All right, Derek. Derek. Foles has been the one bright spot of this team. Over the past 3 games, he's thrown for over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, no picks. But last night against Oregon, he threw the ball 57 times. How does he get help?
Well, I think we've already alluded to it. They've got to run the ball more, but it's a tough because I don't know how you do it with two. They don't have a big guy to run the ball or a guy.
Well, they do, but he's out. Greg
out,
Nwoko
right.
is
Yeah, he's
out.
not
Right.
playing.
Well, exactly, and that's what they're missing. Greg Nwoko, a very underrated player. He's been a pretty big factor past 2 seasons now, at least. And Foles, he's doing all he can. He was sacked, I believe, 5 times for 46 yards last game. That's not his fault. When you're playing from behind the whole game, it's tough. You're going to have to throw the ball.
Yeah, you can't play
It's a tough
catch up
spot.
with a team like that. And he's had no interceptions. You know, for a quarterback who's had no interceptions, that's hard that the score's not the way
he's
reflecting
getting
that.
no protection. How many times did he hit last night and hit hard? And he is
Yeah,
probably
the
one
sacks
sore
don't tell
individual.
us.
You
So
can't
he
make a
was hit
throw
at
if your
least 10
offensive line
times.
doesn't give
Yeah.
you time to make that throw.
Well, Annie, is Mike Stoops' job in jeopardy, his future?
I don't think so. I think Stoops is doing, well for what he's working with. We have a young team. They're inexperienced. They need time. Time is not necessarily what we have, but, I mean, there's only so much a coach can do.
Yeah, I've got a problem here, though. I've got a problem. Last night, the first thing he said in the press conference was, we came out and we weren't ready to play.
That's
What do
his
you
fault
mean
is
you
that
weren't ready to
how
play?
can you not be
What
ready
are
to
you
play?
doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And I was going to allude to that too. Then you go back to last season when
Man.
they did have all their players. They didn't have injuries last season. They've lost 8 of the last 9.
Arizona
now?
has not
Something
beaten an
ridiculous.
FBS opponent since October 30th of 2010.
That's a problem.
11 months
That's a problem.
ago.
That's a big problem. Zach, I'm starting with you. Go across the board. Over or under? Arizona wins 2.5 games the rest of the season.
This one's easy. Over, no question. They will go on the road to a very poor Oregon State team. They will take on UCLA at home. I'm not too impressed. Utah homecoming. I mean, Louisiana Lafayette. All you need to do is win that one plus another one to get over the 2. So over easily.
I'm going over as well. I'm hoping that we can pull it out against USC this coming weekend. They just got beat by ASU, so they're not coming into the game undefeated. Either are we, so I'm hoping that we can take this one even from them.
Yeah, I'll go over as well. It's kind of sad that we even have to ask that question at this point in the season. But UCLA at home, they'll get that. Colorado on the road, maybe get that. Then Louisiana, Lafayette, and maybe Oregon State. So
And I don't see why they can't surprise somebody and either beat Arizona State or USC on the road.
With the rivalry, I mean,
Maybe.
anything's possible as long as we go for 2 and we don't try and get the extra point.
Wow.
Okay,
Love.
well, our analysts all think they're going to win 3 or more games the rest of the season. I have a little bit of mixed feelings about that. But we'll also find out when we come back why our analysts should not be gamblers.
The knife I lead is an alphabet dog. I may have fleas, but I run a yard. I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life, dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life.
Hi, it's David Hasselhoff, the Hawk. Get Hoff with UATV. Stay tuned. Don't change the dial.
You guys going straight across the board. Give me a % chance the Pac-16 actually happens. Go, Derek.
85.9%.
I'm going 87.
100%, no doubt. No doubt.
100%.
There's going to be 4 super conference.
Well, that segment was from last week's show. I hope none of them put any money down on those numbers. All rumors of the Pac-16 forming are squashed. The league's presidents and chancellors voted last Tuesday night, deciding to leave the Pac-12 the way it is. ESPN reported that Commissioner Larry Scott said, "After careful review, we have determined that it is in the best interest of our member institutions, student athletes, and fans to remain a 12-team conference." Pac-12 recently negotiating a 12-year, $3 billion television contract with Fox and ESPN. Well, people really started believing this was going to happen last week. Zach, you had no doubt in your mind. How did this process end so quickly?
I think the real snag here for the Pac-12 becoming the Pac-16 was the University of Texas and their Longhorn Network. There was going to be a divide in the revenue sharing, and that was one of the things that the Pac-12 was decided on. They will have complete revenue sharing across the board, and Texas isn't going to be with that when they have their own network. So I think that the Longhorns were the big snag.
Honestly, I'm just happy I didn't put money on it. I'm a big sports book man, but it wasn't possible to bet on it, so I didn't put
All
money.
the talk, all the time, it
I thought
sounded
it was
like there was
gonna
no. It sounded as if it was a done deal.
Yeah, and
I
I guess
agreed. I thought it was a done deal.
it
Nice
wasn't
thing
a-
is now we don't have to change the Pac-12 logo
yeah.
that we just paid a lot of
If
money
it wasn't
for.
on tape, I would have denied it, but I guess I was wrong.
Well, Derek, do you think the new Pac-12 network played any major role in this decision?
Oh, I definitely think it did. You also had problems with USC and UCLA not agreeing to share their revenue as well. So, although, Zach, you're right, Texas and Oklahoma definitely were a big part in this decision. I think the Pac-12 network had to. Look, Larry Scott realized that he's not dumb. He has something really good going right here. He's not at the mercy of Texas and Oklahoma. Texas and Oklahoma want to become a part of this. They want to make this better. Larry Scott knows he doesn't need them. He's got a great product here already. But I think definitely it was a factor.
Well, I mean, and we said this last week. I don't think there's anybody more powerful in college athletics right now than Pac-12 Commissioner Larry Scott. No question.
Yeah.
All right, Annie, is leaving the Pac-12 the best thing for all the members already in the conference?
I would say it's the best thing, especially for Arizona. I mean, the Pac-12 is made up of people who are ready to share that commission all around. You bring someone as big as Texas into it, and they're not ready for that. You don't need to have 15 who are willing to share and one who's not. And I mean, for Arizona athletics, I think it's great. It's another speed bump that we can take off our pages that we don't have to come over.
Yeah, I think you have to ask the athletes though, and I think for the most part, I think they're going to want to compete against good schools. They want to prove that they can beat the best.
Kurt Iyer said that very same thing to us last week.
Absolutely. I guess we can hear what Tori has to say later. I think.
But my problem is, did Larry Scott overplay his hand? Is he going to wish in 2 years from now, hey, maybe everybody else has gone. Everybody else has gone 16. Pac-12 is left out in the cold and wondering where do we go wrong?
Zach, I want to lead you into this next question then. Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech were the 4 teams that were denied entry into the Pac-12. Where do these teams go from now?
Well, Dan Beebe, who was the Big 12 commissioner, has stepped down, and the Big 12 has to unite. They have to come together. They're going to have to bring in some new teams. They're going to lose. It's official now. A&M is gone to the SEC. And so, TCU's out of the question. They've gone to the Big East, but who knows if the Big East will even continue to exist.
The way things are looking, it's going to be 4 power conferences in a matter of 5 years.
But I think the Big 12 stays. I think they figure out a way.
I think they do, at least short term. I think they have to.
Well, they do.
I don't think there's any question about that. Because these schools bring in so much revenue, they're not just going to disintegrate and fall down that easily. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think if they can get BYU and make it 10, and then evenally get Louisville and West Virginia.
They'll have to go to 12 if they want that championship game, and that's what's really going to count.
And I think
Big
that's
12
a huge
maybe should have 12
right.
in it. Or just throwing it out there.
Yes, agreed.
Well,
all right,
Annie,
Annie, I want to wrap up this segment. Do you see a Pac-12 expansion anywhere in the future? And I'd ask you to give a percent, but we all saw what happened last show.
I'll stay away from giving any percentages, but I don't think so. For a long time, I think as long as the Big 12 can capitalize and make their deal known, I don't think that any changes will be made soon.
I'm not going to say with percentages. 0% chance. 0% chance.
I thought no percentages.
It's done. No, it's done. It's done.
We don't want to hear any more percentages.
If it wasn't going to happen then, it's never going to happen. That was the moment. And if that's not it, then it never will be.
I never say never. I said it's 100% chance.
I got Justin Bieber.
Okay, I was going to say, Justin Bieber. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, Tori Moore will join me in the Bear Down Spotlight.
And now it's time for the Bear Down Spotlight, brought to you by UATV.
I'm here with volleyball sensation Tori Moore. How are you doing tonight, Tori?
Good. Thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing great too. Thanks for coming on the show. Big game versus Washington State earlier today. I hope you're not too drained to do the Bear Down Spotlight with me.
No, I'm all right.
Are you ready to go?
Yes.
And I just want to throw this out there right now. I understand you're 5'10"?
Yes.
Good, I got 2 inches on you. All right, we're going to start right now. You lost to Washington 3-0 earlier in the week. You beat Washington State earlier today 3-0. How big of a win was that for you guys?
It's a pretty big win. I mean, even though Washington State isn't necessarily in the top part of the conference, it's still important to take care of business. And beat those teams, it means a lot to our overall record. So.
Okay, and your position on the team, you're a setter, right?
Yes.
All right. Tell everybody at home what that entails.
Setter, it's a pretty important position on the team. You're kind of running the offense. It's kind of equivalent to the quarterback of a football team almost. You have to be on top of everything. You have to know the scouting report before every game. You have to run the offense so we can put the ball away and beat teams. And you also have to know everything about the other team pretty much. So.
Okay, you guys are on a roll this year. Tell me about some of the strengths of this team.
We have a lot of strengths. We have a few seniors that came back, but a big question mark lied in the fact that we have a lot of freshmen that are contributing to our team. We have 8 freshmen on the team, so we have strengths on the pins. The freshmen are doing a great job. They've come in and really contributed, so it's been good, but mostly we're working on our serving and passing. That's been a big factor in most of the games and the reason.
So would you consider that one of your weaknesses?
Serving and passing?
Yeah.
In the Washington game, that was definitely a weakness. That's why we lost the game. The first game and a half, we didn't have a problem. We played well, but we couldn't really pass in the third game, and if you can't pass, you can't really run the offense, and you can't win the game.
All right, I want to direct this one more to you. What do you feel your biggest weakness is playing on the volleyball team? Biggest weakness?
Probably biggest weakness coming in was just lack of experience because I had to sit for a few years, so just the biggest part about being a setter is being comfortable running the offense, kind of getting in the groove of things and getting a rhythm. So I feel like I've kind of been behind on that, so I've had to pick that up as fast as I can.
And what do you feel like that you can improve on?
Probably same thing, just improve on making things flow better, keeping the team in rhythm. Even if we're not serving well or passing well, even on passes that are less than perfect, giving the hitters the best opportunity to swing and score.
And do you see it yourself as one of the leaders of this team?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've been here for a few years, so I have to be on top of everything, be on time everywhere, know the schedule. Since we have so many freshmen, me as well as the other seniors, we kind of have to, run the team and make sure everyone's on track.
And how do you feel that you make other teammates around you better?
Probably just by setting an example, coming into practice every day, same attitude, working hard. Even if we don't feel like practicing or working as hard as we can, I definitely can't slack or else the players below me will too.
Okay, and for everybody out there, volleyball team is 10-3 this season. Where do you see this team come the end of the season?
Well, right now it's a work in progress and we have a great record, but we're only in the second weekend of conference, so it just gets harder and harder. We go take on Cal and Stanford and then USC and UCLA, and every team in our conference is very good. So from here, we're just going to have to try to stay consistent and keep getting wins and hopefully be above 500, but I do see us making the tournament for sure.
All right, and I want you to tell everybody out there, what does Tori Moore do when she graduates from the U of A?
When I graduate from the U of A, I'm not positive. I'm a business marketing major, so I'm interested in sports marketing, event planning, something along those lines. I plan on probably starting with an internship somewhere and kind of going from there. I'm pretty open right now.
All right, Tori Moore, you are out of the Bear Down spotlight. I want to wish you the best of luck this season for coming on this show. Tori and the team will play at Cal and Stanford this upcoming week. Next up, Greg Byrne doing work and getting paid. Stay with us. UATV 3 UATV 3
When I turn on the TV, I turn it to channel 3, cause they got all the greatest shows that I've been waiting to see. It's entertaining to me, cause it's pertaining to me and all the other Wildcats in the student body. We're broadcasting live to all the residence halls, so all y'all's in the halls, turn your TVs on to channel 3 for Sheezy, so you can see me and all the other happy people down at UATV 3.
Greg Byrne left Mississippi State University to take over as the Arizona Athletic Director in May of 2010. Since then, he has done a tremendous amount for Arizona's athletic programs and the school. He was responsible for the new high-definition football scoreboard and now in the process of building a $72 million facility in the north end zone of the football stadium. After almost a year and a half since joining us, the Arizona Board of Regents approved giving Byrne a raise and a contract extension lengthened by 17 months. he will receive an additional $110,000 a year, bringing his annual salary to $440,000. Zach, does Byrne deserve this raise this early in his career?
There's no question about that. You know, if you look at what he was making, $330,000 to what he is making now, which is going to be $440,000 through 2016, the math is simple. He gets paid $440,000, and in a year and a half, he's brought us $20 million. So I think that he is more than justified for this raise and the extension, because if you don't do these things, he'll go somewhere else.
Exactly. I was saying this was something that needed to be done in order to have him stay around.
Retention.
I mean, he's gotten calls from Tennessee and numerous other places. Everybody wants him. He's making big moves, and we need to make sure he stays here.
Well, go back to even the Sean Miller hiring. You better believe he had some impact of having him stay when he might have gone to Maryland. Whether you want to believe it or not, he definitely was working the phones, and he made that happen. So I think it's really hard to really even critique him at this point.
Yeah.
Well, Annie, I want you to critique him for me right now. Tell me about him, what you think he's done, how good he's been so far for us.
I mean, I think he came in, and at first he set huge goals. And at first I was like, yeah, I don't know if all this is going to happen. But he set goals on donors, and he's made those happen. And he set goals on improving facilities in order to get us the best recruits we can get. So I think he's done everything he said he was going to do so far.
And I don't want to be too annoying, but I'm not really sure if I can think of anything I can complain about. Really, I don't.
Yeah.
He graduated from Arizona State, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. There you
But
go.
I mean, that's pretty petty. So I mean, but that's all I can think of, really.
Well, when you look at him, I think a good point you have to realize here, he wants all our athletic programs to succeed, but at the same time, and you look at the baseball team, one of the lower tier programs, but he's doing what he can to help that program. But then on the flip side, he knows what are the money makers. He knows that the football and basketball team bring in the money, and he's doing his best to renovate those facilities. So I think he has a good balance and a really square head on his shoulders. He knows what he's doing.
All right, Derek, I'm going to put you on the spot. Compare Byrne to past athletic directors, just compared to what he's done so far.
Well, I think it's a little too early to do that. I mean, he's been here less than 2 years now. But Jim Livengood, he had a very long tenure at Arizona, so it's kind of hard to say that he was a complete failure here. So I'm not even going to say that. But he had his good things. He got loot in, and they did their thing. But I think what Byrne's really done is he's brought a younger face, a fresh look on Arizona athletics. This is still about pride and tradition at Arizona, especially when it comes to basketball. But at the same time, you look at the program, and they're moving on. The court is more modern, and the facilities are more modern. And just, I think when you look at it, he does a good job of kind of combining tradition and just new excellence. I don't know.
What Jim Livengood did worked for a long time. It does not work anymore. Arizona had to move on. Greg Byrne is so media savvy with social media, especially Facebook, Twitter. I mean, I know that sounds hokey, but
No, it's huge.
it really has taken on a life of its own. And I mean, he's even a guy that said, if you see somebody, make a violation, let me know.
Right.
I want to hear about it.
And that's to keep us out of trouble.
And I want you to build off what Zach just said. Annie, how do you think Byrne has improved Arizona athletics?
Well, I mean, we started with the men's basketball facilities and locker room, and then you've got the scoreboard, and then you've got the baseball team moving to High Corbett. I think that all of those impact Arizona athletics. They're all going to keep our donors donating, and they're all going to keep recruits interested in U of A.
Not only that, I think when you look at, I like what both of you guys kind of brought up, he kind of interacts with the fans. He gives away free tickets on Twitter. He wants the fans to be a part of the program. He's a very reachable guy. He tries to go to even the small events. I've seen him at volleyball games, seen him at baseball games, seen him at softball games. He really is trying to make Arizona athletics a community binder. He wants everybody to get involved. This isn't just about the athletes. This isn't just about the faculty. It's about everyone. It's about the whole Tucson community coming together.
And it can be said very simply. Greg Byrne, through fundraising and the scoreboard, has altered the skyline of the city. I mean,
no doubt.
Simple as that. I mean, he has changed the landscape of the way this town looks. You can see that from the scoreboard can be seen from far on the north side, landing on the south side in the airport. I mean, it's that simple.
And you know what? We might be able to even ask him further on this topic. Greg Byrne may be joining us on the Bear Down Spotlight later in the semester. Now it's time to look at scores around the school. The soccer team losing to Stanford 7-0, but the volleyball team, as Tori said, they lost earlier 3-0 to Washington, but they beat Washington State earlier. What to look forward to next week? Arizona at USC, the soccer team at Colorado, and volleyball taking on Cal and Stanford. It's time for the final word. Each analyst will have 30 seconds to discuss the topic of their choosing. Derek, you're on the clock.
All right, Mike, we're going to have to talk about your Boston Red Sox, man. 4-16 in the month of September. Haven't had back-to-back wins since mid-August against the A's. And after a blowout loss to the Rays, the catcher Russell Martin for the Yankees said, I know we could have played better against them, but really, do you think I want to see the Sox in the playoffs? So it's kind of cool to see that rivalry.
All right, Derek, I'm cutting you off. I'm cutting you off. You're cut off right now. Annie, you're on the clock.
All right, well, I've got baseball as well, but mine's a little more happy-friendly. It's a shout-out to the Diamondbacks, who are now the NL West champions after their 3-1 win over San Francisco. And I just want to give them a good luck in the playoffs.
All right, great. Zach, finish it off. 30 seconds.
I'll keep with baseball a little bit. Never have I been so proud to be from the city of Detroit. Lions are 3-0. Miracle comeback today against the Vikings. Tigers in the postseason. Michigan is 4-0. Red Wings have started. I'm a happy camper.
All right, well, that's going to do it for tonight's show of the Dorm Room Sports Chat. There's 168 hours in a week. Start counting down, and we'll see you when you hit 0. For Zach, Derek, and Annie, I'm Mike Rabin. See you next week.